So I want to ask you guys a question. Is it genuinely possible to guarantee getting a high score on the SAT? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty simple. Can you make it, for example, that if you want a 1550 on the SAT, you can have a 100% chance of getting that? Can you do something in your preparation to make it so your chances of getting 1550 are literally 100%? Now, I'm going to answer this question in a second, but let me first tell you some things I'm thinking about going into this. What I want you to really do is think for a second, what kind of things go into a high SAT score? I think there's a few very clear things. For one, in the reading section, you have to be able to actually comprehend complex passages. You're going to see weird, strange, confusing passages on the SAT, and you have to be able to read through them and actually clearly understand what is going on so you can get through these difficult questions. And alongside with that, you have to be good at actually choosing the right answers. You're going to see answer choices that may seem a little bit weird, and many students are just not used to the process of looking through a set of answer choices and having to analyze what is an assumption, what's a claim, etc., all that different stuff. Just these two things alone are enough to maybe take, 20 plus hours just alone focusing on them. But they're definitely the most important in terms of the reading section of the test. In addition to that, there are some other smaller skills you have to know. Like, for example, you should know all the different transition words that are likely to appear on the SAT. You should be able to be good at deciphering different complex vocab words that you may see. You need to, of course, understand every single grammar rule. If you don't know that, then you're absolutely cooked for the SAT. In the math section of the test, there are also several things you need to know. Probably the most important is, of course, Desmos. You need to be able to know how to use Desmos, when to use Desmos, how to do complex different things with it. But of course, in addition to that, you have to just know how math works. You have to be able to analyze complex math, different situations, different formulas, different stuff that you're not used to seeing, and being able to think to yourself in your mind, how do I actually get through this complex stuff? In addition to that, there's a few other big categories of tests, of course. You need to know the different major geometry and trigonometry rules. You need to know how to get through different statistics problems, like with mean, median, and mode, especially with the more complex sides of those. You need to understand, in a general sense, how do quadratics work, all that different stuff. And on top of all of this, you need to be good at just figuring out the timing of the test. When you go through the test, you shouldn't be running out of time and feeling like you just have to speed up at the end of the test. You also should make sure that you have a good strategy so you're not making careless mistakes and struggling with things like that. So all these different things, I've just listed a few things here that go into a high SAT score. But I want you to really think about it. With these things in mind, you can now take these and actually master each individual one. For example, comprehension. That's not something you can master in a day, but there is a better way of comprehending passages that I explain in another video on the channel. Plus, also, you can take that method and use it again and again until you eventually become really good at it. Why do people who are good at reading be so good at reading? It's because they probably have read many books in their lifetime. In addition to that, answer choice selection, similar kind of thing. After you can read well, you have to just train yourself to be able to select the right answer when you see different confusing choices. Likewise, with Desmos, you can train yourself on all the different techniques and actually do a lot of practice problems on each one. And same thing for math and all these other different things here. Timing and strategy, of course, you can just do a lot of practice tests and try to master the strategy for each one. Now, what about the question that I asked at the beginning of this video? Can you guarantee a high SAT score? Now, think for a second what you'd expect me to say. Now, I would say that you cannot 100% guarantee a high SAT score. Now, the reason why I say this is just simply because of external circumstances. I had a student before the June SAT, or actually during the June SAT, who told me that he got in this crazy situation where the heat was 1,000,000 degrees in his room, and then they had to pause the test for a bit and they didn't get the time back and all these different things. If you're in that situation, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you did not have 100% chance of getting the high SAT score. I don't think any kind of preparation really could prepare you for a situation like that. Not to mention, there's a variety of different things that could happen. You could have some kind of terrible sleep the night before the test. There's things that could happen where maybe you just miss the test, maybe get to the test late and you lose time. All these different things. Your Chromebook could die midway through the test. All these different big problems. And so for those reasons, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you have a 100% chance of getting a good SAT score, because you can't for sure guarantee these different things. But I will tell you that you do have a 100% of mastering these different topics. If you genuinely put the time, put the effort into it, you can get really good at all these different things I've listed here. And these are genuinely things that anybody can improve in. Even if you're somebody who feels like they're terrible at math or terrible at reading, you can improve in these topics. It just may take more time and more effort than it would for another person. The way I want you to think about it is kind of like this scale here that I'm showing. Now, you may be familiar with a famous rule from Isaac Newton, which is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And I think this applies so much to the SAT. Like, genuinely, this is like such an important rule. Like, I want you to think of some big goal that you could potentially try to get. Like, let's say that you're trying to like lose like 50 pounds. That is a lot of weight. That is very difficult to lose. That's like a very, very big goal. And say you're trying to think to yourself, how can you lose 50 pounds? Do you think you could lose 50 pounds? Do you think you could get this great, amazing goal, 50 pounds of loss, just by, I don't know, doing 5 minutes of exercise per day? Do you think that alone could get you the 50 pounds? No, because 5 minutes is significantly less effort than a huge thing like losing 50 pounds of weight. Like, there's a big mismatch in this stuff. This is very light. This is very heavy if you're trying to talk about the weights of them. In order to lose 50 pounds, you have to significantly change your diet. You have to have a much different diet. You should be eating far fewer calories. And probably on top of that, you should also be adding in a significant amount of exercise, not just a little bit of it, in order to lose those 50 pounds. Think about some other big goal that you may want. Let's say you're trying to start a successful business. I'll just draw money there because I guess most people associate that with business. Could you start a successful business if all you do is, think about business for like 5 minutes per day? Never do anything, just thinking about it. No, again, that's not nearly enough effort to justify the huge, big goal of actually starting and running a successful business. That's a small sacrifice for a big goal that you're hoping for. In order to start a business, you have to do all these different things. You have to put in a significant amount of work. You have to put a lot of money in. You have to put a lot of effort in. You have to be thinking a lot about all these different things, planning out this whole business model. You have to think about how you're going to advertise it. And so for the SAT, if you're trying to get a goal like 1,500 or above on the SAT, now you just have to think to yourself, are you willing to put in 1,500 level work? Are you willing to do work that is extremely big to get to that goal? Because it's not just going to be something like doing 5 minutes per day of studying. It's not even going to be like 10 minutes a day. It's probably not even going to be 30 minutes a day. It's probably going to be more like multiple hours every single day of studying on these different things: mastering comprehension, mastering answer choice selection, mastering decimals, mastering math. You have to put in so much work to get this kind of result. I mean, think about it. Like, this is a kind of result like 95 percentile or more. So think to yourself, if you have 100 people, 95 of them are not going to get a 1,500. And you want to be in those 5 people who do get the 1,500 or higher. I think it's actually even more. I think it's like 97 for a 1,500. So like 3 people out of 100 who are going to get this goal, and you want to be one of those 3 people. Does it make sense to only put in a small amount of work? No, obviously not. And this is how it must always be. And you may be thinking to yourself while you're watching me say this that, wait, I know this one guy who spent almost no time studying for the SAT, and he still got like a really high score. Like, he got like a 1570 when he spent no time studying. So how do you explain that guy? Now, here's my answer to that. This still applies even to that guy, because think to it. If he got a 1570 on the SAT, there must have been some factor that went into that. Now, the most obvious thing is perhaps he just was studying when you weren't able to see him. Like, maybe he put in a bunch of work and you just didn't see all those hours that he put in. Maybe he said to you that he didn't spend much time studying, but in actuality, maybe he put in like quite a bit of time. So it could have just been like he did actually put in a lot of time. What it also could mean is that maybe he just had more skill growing up. Like, you probably have met people before who were in the hardest math classes all throughout their life. Like, they were studying super hard, even like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and they're just putting all this work in all this time. Maybe they were also like reading very, very dense novels, even at like the age of 2nd grade and stuff like that. Those people as well, they put in the time, just not right before the SAT. They put in time throughout their entire life. And now when they get to the SAT, they have so much skill built up that they're just able to get through it. Now, I mean, I think this is a very big thing. Like, you may see somebody and they may have spent like only like 30 minutes per day studying before the actual SAT, but it doesn't consider all the many hours that they put in throughout their entire life of studying. If you have somebody who like took hard, complex math classes in like 5th grade, if you have somebody who's like a genius, they're not going to need to spend as much time because they already have that extra effort built up from all throughout their life. So again, it applies the same rule, it just looks a slightly different. And if those are not the case, then I'm also just willing to say it could even just be a luck thing. Now, this is not really the point of this video, but like, you could just get extremely lucky and get a 1570. Like, this can happen, and that in itself is like a big thing. Like, to be lucky enough to like just choose a bunch of random answers and have it still be very, very high results in terms of the SAT, that is not likely to happen. You're not likely to be in that situation. So if that did happen, that in itself is a big thing, and that still justifies the big results. The thing you have to keep in mind with that, though, is that it's going to happen for a very, very small percentage of people. If it genuinely was somebody who just like chose random answers for every question and got 1,600, that's going to be something that happens maybe like 1 in, who knows, maybe even like 1,000,000 times. Like, it's going to be extremely, extremely rare. So it may seem amazing, but like that's not happening for the vast majority of people. I say all this just to emphasize how much work this requires, because I say it can be guaranteed, but this is not considering just the huge amount of effort and sacrifice that it takes to get there. You can't just get these huge, amazing results by doing stuff that everybody else is doing. You have to be doing what people are not willing to do to get there. But one thing I do want to show you guys real quick is this new thing that we have access to from Onico. If you're not familiar, Onico has been a huge sponsor of this channel and my other YouTube channel for a very long time now. And they just unlocked a new thing on their platform where they actually will guarantee you getting a certain SAT score. Here's the way that it works basically. You set up this study plan here, and it will actually show you what score you can expect to get at the end of your study plan. It's going to give you questions every single day for this, and if you do each question, this is where it predicts you're going to get to. And now here's the thing. If you get the premium version of Onico, finish the diagnostic test, complete at least 90% of your study plan, and also confirm your name before the test, and you do not get your predicted score, they will actually give you all your money back or 12 months free of the platform. And this is like a very, very big thing. I just want to emphasize to you guys, you may not even understand how big of a thing this is, because if you're running a business, like you cannot just make a huge guarantee. Like you cannot guarantee like, hey, if you use my service, you're going to make $1 million, because everybody uses the service. And if they don't get it, then you have to give them their money back. And if a business cannot keep the money that they're making, they're going to go out of business. They're going to fail, because if they can't keep their money, then obviously they have nothing to sustain themselves anymore. So the fact that they're doing this is actually like a really big thing. And it shows to you that they are very, very confident about their product, because if they weren't, they would be completely screwed making this whole decision. So if you check the link in the description right now, you will access my affiliate code for Onico, where you can try this out and actually guarantee your goal SAT score. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying that this is literally a 100% chance guarantee, because again, we can't 100% chance guarantee anything. There can be external circumstances, and plus maybe you just don't follow through the study plan. But what I will say is that they will now have stake in your results. If you give them money and you don't actually improve, they're going to have to give you money back. So this is a huge thing. I would really recommend trying this out if you want a higher chance of getting your goal SAT score. I know this wasn't super technical of a video, but I felt like just something I had to give out there just so people can understand more of what goes into this process. And I hope you enjoyed. Good luck on the SAT, and make sure always stay Gucci.